Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, and welcome back to our new home. Oh, no, it's just the TV.
And no, that is not Rama and Sassy.
No, it's not. It's not. Almost. I mean, if you put some black paint on them, it could be like the puppies.
Yes, absolutely.
This is us in a helicopter.
She is kidding you guys. She is kidding you guys, as you can see. Somebody is watching us intently. Mr. Rama.
Uh-huh.
Is cohort in crime. Sita, she's in her favorite position, all snuggled up. This is where these two typically spend the night. They have their own chairs and they spend their nights in the chairs. So we have obviously we're in the living room that we shared with you in the last video.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our roaring fire.
Yes, this is our pretend fire that we like.
This came from New Mexico with us. And this is our heat because the heat doesn't work in the house. So as we shared with you guys, we got an old farmhouse on 4 acres of land that had been empty for 2 years, hadn't been lived in for 2 years. Water lines all needed to be replaced, and we had to replace basically most of the electric too, as it was in not too safe condition. But again, we got it for only 5 digits, so it is, gosh, it's a small fraction, about 20% of what the average house in the U.S. costs. And we're perfectly content with it. Yes, we need to redo the whole thing, but, one thing at a time.
Definitely. It's truly a blessing and a gift.
Oh, we love it. We do love it. We're perfectly content. Again, there's so many people in this world that don't have even a roof over their head.
I know.
So we want to always give thanks for that. And that is, again, one of the things that I'll mention before we go on to the main topic, which came up during our mantras and meditation this morning. And one of the things that was brought up was, about like eating vegetarian. Somebody made a comment saying there's plenty of vegetarian alternatives, no reason to eat meat. What we've got from the guides is the most important thing is giving thanks and praying over whatever it is you're consuming, because everything is consciousness. Whether you're talking about, a head of lettuce, or, a chicken, or whatever it is, a deer, whatever it is that you are about to utilize for your body and your cells, which each have their own units of consciousness, so to speak, and yet are part of a bigger organism. Give thanks and pray for that which you consume. So whether you're consuming a turkey on Thanksgiving, ham or lamb on Easter, whatever it is, or just simply a salad, or even just a little apple, or nuts, or whatever it is, give thanks, pray over it, and send out positive intentions for peace and love to whatever it is you're consuming, because it is consciousness.
Right. I think people don't quite get that when it comes to things like fruit and nuts. They can't look at them and think, well, the same consciousness that runs through me runs through them, and they have a purpose and an intention on this planet. And for them to fulfill their purpose and intention, it is good to pray over them, raise that vibration so that they might continue on their journey. So I think it's just hard for people to put those two together when they're thinking, oh, an apple is just an apple. No, it's far more. It's alive. It's alive, and it just wants to be prayed over.
Ultimately, yes, that is it. And ultimately, it's sending out those frequencies of love, compassion, and understanding that no matter what we look at, that is source. So whether we're talking about an owl or an ant or a horse or a tree, it's all source, and source is in it. The consciousness of source is everything and all over. You can't go anywhere where source is not. Again, it wouldn't be sourced if that was the case. So we say our prayers, not just for it to bless us, but also to bless it in its journey along its way. Because again, the source spark that's in all of us will transmigrate through many different vehicles, as you know, bodies are just vehicles for exploring this creation through a new lens.
Indeed. I mean, there's a lot that we can get from praying over our food. And really, I want to point out when I was on my journey, I understood that prayer is actually raising the frequency. So that definitely helps with the consciousness journey.
Yes, absolutely. That's what it is all about. It's about raising the frequency. And that comes to the main reason for this video, because the guides were coming through and having Cindy ask me questions about, well, what is spirituality and why is spirituality important? And ultimately, what is it intending to do? And the reality is, what should our spirituality intend to do?
Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's a question that everyone needs to ask themselves. You know, why is spirituality important for me? And sit down and write those things down that it does do for you. Because you might pick up a spiritual practice for a few days, but then we tend to drop that practice, you know, maybe over a few days. But it's very important to keep it going and just to really tie things up, and then we'll go and do some backfilling, but it is to connect little me to big me.
Yes, exactly. Again, connecting us to our higher selves, which in turn connects us to the reason why we came here in the first place. And, you know, that is something that often gets lost along the way, is we forget why. Why did we come here in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing we might ask ourselves, and this has been put out there many times. I've seen this question posed in different ways. Why would somebody choose to incarnate if they were going to lead a very short, hard life? Well, again, it's learning. So it might not seem from this perspective when we're in life that it would be a wise choice to take a life that would be very short, very difficult, and very harsh. Yet at the same time, it could give us so much more soul growth than a long, healthy, prosperous life with little challenges.
You know, if we look to nature, I always love to look to nature to find answers, and we look at things like pearls, and we look to things like diamonds, and a pearl is going to start out as just simply a piece of sand, and it's going to irritate that clam, but as it irritates the clam, it's going to be surrounded with that substance that the clam has, and in the end of it all, there's a very beautiful pearl, but that pearl could not be there without the irritant. And look to diamonds. I mean, they're really crushed under a lot of pressure. And the more pressure and the more crushing there is, the more beautiful that diamond becomes. Same with a pearl. These are things that we can't forget when we are in the middle of our journey and something we perceive goes wrong. It's not that it's gone wrong. There's something in life that's trying to either guide us, or it's molding us, or it's refining us. And we have to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. You know, when a spirit, when a soul,
Sita.
Sita just
says hi.
Sita just noticed the
deer
animals
on the
and the
TV.
deers on the TV, and she was just growling at it. When a soul decides to incarnate as a deer, that will ultimately end up feeding a pack of wolves or coyotes, you know, you might say, what's the purpose? And it might be hard to perceive it, but at the same time, the purpose of supporting other life is part of that purpose.
There is. I mean, there's a chain of life, and that's just something. It's a fact of life. It's a fact of 3D. Does that make 3D? Does that make those beings bad? No, they've come here for an experience just like everyone else. And nature has a course to follow. And I think the more people interrupt it, and the further we step outside of nature's way, the more we fall off of our own path. And is that because our belief system makes us think that something is wrong, with the way nature plays out? It doesn't feel good. I don't like to see a lion, get a hold of an antelope. I mean, it breaks my heart. But at the same time, you have to remember there's these beautiful things about nature that move things forward. And nature is in a forever expanding place, and it cannot expand without doing what nature does. And sometimes that doesn't look good and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and that takes me to a recent event last Sunday. I was just doing some, I had done some mantras, and then I was just sitting down to practice guitar and just kind of getting into a zone. All of a sudden, I hear a big ruckus. The dogs are barking. Something is abnormal. And I go out and see a pack of dogs next door, which there is a fence that I put up that separates that yard from our yard, because we wanted to keep the pups safe here, because we do have bear, we have everything here.
And dogs, wild
We have
dogs.
wild packs of dogs, we have bears, we have coyotes, we have wolves, we have gators, we have everything. So yeah, we wanted to keep the dogs safe, even though they are 100-pound dogs. So what it was, I went out and went over to the neighbor's house, because he's elderly and not in good health. And he has a tiny little dog that weighs 10 pounds, like Sassy. And they had taken down a deer. Yeah, he's deaf too. They had taken down a deer, and so I shooed them away. The deer got up and ran. I went and got the neighbor, made sure he was okay and his pup was okay. And then, took him to the deer, and the deer had moved, but we found it because it was making a lot of noise. It was wailing. And he ended up dispatching the deer because he's a country boy that is used to hunting. So when you have an injured deer, what do? He in his mind, you don't try to nurse it back to health. You thank nature, God, whatever, for providing, and you utilize it, which he did. So he dressed it all himself, and has utilized every part of the deer. And that is the cycle of life. That is how things are. And we have even brought up that passage in the Bible about when the lion and the lamb lie down, or the wolf and the lamb. Yes, when you get up into the higher densities, you don't find necessarily the same type of situation, but this is life on this particular density at this point in time.
And I tend to look at spirituality, and I don't like to label things, one is good and one is bad. It's just simply a journey. The judgment falls away at a certain point, and you just understand that things just are. And our neighbor, understood that this was a gift from God, and he was so very grateful, and not one bit of that deer went to waste in any way. He was so grateful. And this is just how he was raised. And I don't think that makes him a bad person in any way, shape, or form. We look to the indigenous, we look to the shamanic way of life, and they felt that the animals would present themselves, to be utilized for further growth on the planet. Some people might find that bad, and that's okay. That's their way. That's what they think, and it's part of their journey too. Should be respected, just like anyone else. I mean, we look to vegetarians, and that's a really good thing. But also, let's not forget, when we're a vegetarian, there's there's things like insecticides that are kept away from vegetables. There's rodents, mice, rats that are dispatched or whatever to keep them away from vegetables. So even getting that food to someone's plate, there's a certain amount of Not sure the right way to put this.
Loss of 3D life.
Yes, loss of 3D life to get that food to whoever's the vegetarian. So really, I don't see that there should be any judgment in that. Now, I do look at the mass production of meat. That makes me sad. That makes me so sad.
Those places are so dark.
They are.
They're so horrible. And the animals live such hard lives.
Yeah, and you can
Like
taste it.
a wild animal that lives a normal life the way nature intended is at such a different frequency than the ones that are kept in fear their entire lives and not able to stretch their wings, not able to fly or run. Totally different thing. And we've noticed it. Yeah, like Cindy said, you actually can taste it. Absolutely. The store-bought stuff is there's a huge difference in frequency there, let alone everything that's added to it: antibiotics, steroids, hormones, carrageenan, and you name it, preservatives, all that. When it comes down to it, could I eat the deer that I had the intentions of trying to save? Because that's just who I am. I'll chase them away, which I was going to chase away the pack with a walking stick, because that's just who I am. No, I personally couldn't then go and eat the deer. That's just me. But at the same time, I was fishing with my son and we've caught fish, and then I couldn't eat the fish. So, everybody else did. But, again, I do eat, some meats that are raised right now by local farmers and ranchers, etc. It's more for health at this point in time. I do understand nutrition. I've spent my life studying nutrition. And I know, how the body operates, in a pretty good degree, I would say. So, I understand there's always challenges. I'd rather be vegan, really, but at the same time, not everybody could be healthy being vegan. And in this world where your choices with so much of those vegan foods are going to be processed, they're not healthy at all. They're loaded with stuff. So, again, if you were to do it, you might find yourself trying to be a vegan keto. And what are you going to live on? Avocados and nuts and coconut. And, yes, you're going to be extremely limited. We're in a period in time, obviously, right now where our backs are up against the wall when it comes to finding clean, healthy things to eat. But to go back to the crux of this question, what is spirituality really for? It's for lifting us up. It's for bringing us back into alignment with the higher self and our purpose for this life. It's about reconnecting to the divine plan. And then the guide said, okay, ask yourself, what is organized religion about? Is it about that? Oh, no, obviously not. Organized religion is about control and power and about money and about conforming. It's not about you getting in touch with your higher self and what is your purpose for coming into this particular life at this point in time. No. It's all about what can you do for me is what organized religion is all about in opposition to what spirituality is. Because spirituality, again, it's take what serves you, take what lifts you up, what makes you happy, what makes your cells sing, so to speak.
Right. And sometimes we have to go through some really difficult things and really terrible things and search our soul and find out, okay, why am I in this position? Where does this put me? Why has this happened to me? We look at organized religion and everything as, kind of in a cookie cutter box form. And you have all these do's and don'ts and all these things that they tell you what to believe. But at the same time, what do I find useful in organized? There's use in everything. Organized religion led me to my spiritual path now. So I can't say it's all bad. It even has purpose.
Absolutely. And it could be a transitory phase and something that leads you to something else, something a little bit deeper. And, maybe again, you adapt and you take a little bit from this tradition, a little bit from that tradition, and maybe nothing from this one. It's all up to you because, again, you are a unique expression of Source, and that's how Source intended it.
That's right.
As always, guys, much love. Thanks for your support. Source bless.